My dad works in B2B marketing. He came by my school for career day and said he was a big ROAS man. Then he told everyone how much he loved calculating his return on ad spend. My friends still laugh at me to this day.
Not everyone gets B2B, but with LinkedIn, you'll be able to reach people who do. Get a $100 credit on your next ad campaign. Go to linkedin.com/results to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply. LinkedIn, the place to be, to be.
At Vertex, we know the pace of global commerce is increasing, which makes managing tax more complex. And your enterprise systems weren't built to handle that tax complexity. This is where we come in, with our platform that enables continuous compliance, giving you more transparency, improved accuracy, and better confidence in your tax data. To learn more about continuous compliance, visit vertexinc.com.
Thanks for choosing this free Anfield Index podcast. If you'd prefer to listen to this or any of our other shows without adverts, then now's the time to check out Anfield Index Pro. With AI Pro, you can supercharge your entire listening experience. You'll not only get all of our podcasts without the ads, but you'll have them far faster with our Quick Publish feature available exclusively for subscribers. AI Pro also puts you in the heart of our sound studio, with an option to listen to many of our shows live and interact with the podcasters in real time as the shows are recording. Upgrading couldn't be easier. AI Pro is available on all popular podcast platforms. Just head on over to AnfieldIndexPro.com and get started today.
Hello, everybody. We're back. It's the latest Liverbirds pod, and we're ready to talk all things Liverpool with you. I have my regular contributors, Randy and Amy Cates. Hello, ladies. Welcome along.
Hello.
Hello. We're going to attempt to be shorter, sharper, and more focused on this pod. So we are going to kick straight off with a strange and disappointing game against Nottingham Forest. Amy Kate, let me start with you. What did you make of that? Frank?
You know, the one word that comes to my mind is lackluster. Something was off. They had only about maybe 3 or 4 real chances, and they just couldn't get it behind the ball in the net. There was lots of passing, but there wasn't any completions. They just weren't. They didn't know how to, I guess, react to the whole long ball thing. They're very much into the passing, but they just couldn't really cope with the style of football that Forest was playing. And credit to Forest, they played quite well. They capitalized on a mistake and had a great goal that should never happen. We shouldn't have allowed them to be able to get to that position. But give them credit. I mean, they played toe to toe with us, and we just couldn't convert goals. So it was disappointing. And I know that we always hate international breaks, and something always goes wrong. We never really kind of recover from. We're in a groove. We go on international break, and it's like we kind of fall apart a little bit. We kind of lose our focus, but I don't want to make any excuses. We did what we did. It's early days. It was bound to happen at some point, just it didn't happen already. And, we just have to kind of move on and just learn from that and prepare for Tuesday.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you insofar as I don't want to make excuses and use the international break, because plenty of other teams were in exactly the same position and managed to get a result.
Yeah.
So we,
except for Everton. Sorry.
we have to take responsibility for that. Yeah. But I think lackluster is probably quite a good word. The other thing, Randy, to you is I think we just seem to lack penetration, and I think it was one of those things where, well, I don't know. Do you tell me whether you agree or not? We had a number of players who just really dropped off, in that game, and it didn't look like the substitutions really made any material difference.
No.
You think?
No, I completely agree. Yeah, as Arne said after the match, we were not up to our standards, and we need to be better in ball position. Yeah, but when they play so differently than the teams we've met before, that I mean, they wanted to press us and we could tackle that, where we can't suddenly tackle long balls and keeping the ball within ourselves. And it was so many that was not up to their standard, like Dom, Maka, Trent, Shota, Salah even. I mean, we used to see him be on the ball, but not this time. And when he makes the substitutions, he put guys on that are not match fit. Obviously, I mean, they haven't been able to play enough. But also then putting Trent in midfield. Bradley was not up to his normal pace and strength. And then he changed the defense to three at the back. And I think it was just too much going on for them. We've seen earlier this season that we've had really bad first halves. But on Saturday, I felt that we were even worse in the second. So it was just not our day at all. And maybe it's good it comes now and not like 2 months into it, because this is something we have to work on. And I'm really curious who we're going to play going forward, because, I mean, he obviously meant that everyone was up to it, or else he wouldn't have started them. And then you see how they were not. So who's going to play on Tuesday? That's going to be very, very, very interesting.
It is going to be interesting. I mean, like I said, I'm not making excuses for the international break, but I do wonder, in terms of some of his selections, at around the sort of level of travel that some of the players had done, whether it could have he could have played some of the other players, perhaps. I don't know. It just felt flat and just poor decision making. Kind of more often than not. And it just felt like, at the longer the game went on, that Forest wanted it more than us. And I'm not saying our players didn't try, but it was kind of every 50-50 ball, they were pretty much winning. And I don't know what the guy's name is, but the number 34, their right back, had a brilliant game. And fair play to him. I just thought, he really handled Diaz, and he was there. Every single time, getting a foot in, do whatever, he was doing more of that than we were, and it did make a difference. I mean, it was a wonder strike for the goal, right? Yeah. The fact is, we gave the ball away. We lost the ball. It was a terrible pass. We didn't recover. And the next thing you know, the ball switched play and it's lumped it into the back of the net. So, we were the architects of our own misfortune. So very disappointing. But as you say, we move on. And do you know what? Maybe that we've got AC Milan and it's our first Champions League game, because, frankly, I'm not sure we could play much worse than we did
on
Saturday, particularly in the second half. Because, I understand we've sort of, we might have started a bit slowly in the first half, but we seem to have ratcheted it up in the second half. The first few minutes, it looked like we were coming out firing, and then we just lost the plot completely. So,
yeah.
So AC Milan, first Champions League game, obviously, back in the big time.
Yep.
Do we think, Amy, Kate, that Slot is going to unleash Chiesa back against AC Milan on Tuesday? Do you think he's going to feature at all, even make the match day squad?
Well, because he hasn't. I'm torn with this. I don't think he's going to start for sure. I kind of am 50-50 on. I think he's going to be on the bench. But at the same time, we haven't seen what's going on in training. It really depends on what he's seeing in training, and if he's seeing a lot of good stuff from him, he's going to be on the bench. If he's, I mean, this is my opinion. I'm not saying that's how it goes, but if you see a lot of good stuff on the bench, in training, he'll make the bench. If not, he's gonna be off again. But at the same time, he probably wants to switch it up because the performance of yesterday was not good enough, and maybe he gets his chance. So I'm torn with that, but I think he'll be on the bench at least.
Yeah, I think he certainly obviously will understand more in terms of, the pace of Italian football. I'm sure there's an acclimatization piece for him coming into the Premier League, but maybe this is a good opportunity for for him to to sort of dip his toe in the water. But I do think it's going to be very interesting. I was looking up to see how AC Milan were doing in going to say La Liga. It's not La Liga, it's Serie A.
Yeah.
In terms of how they're doing. So I think that it's one of those interesting things because we've talked about different leagues over the year, different European leagues, as to how they're doing and whether they're whether they're sort of 2-3 horse races or stuff. So it's quite interesting because, again, very early, they've only played 4 games as well. But Milan are 9th at the moment.
Yeah, I did.
Really?
Well, yesterday, after kind of seeing what was going on, I wanted to see where everybody else was in our league. And then I thought, wait a second, let's see what's going on in all the different leagues. And so basically I looked at everybody that was we were playing against in Champions League. I was like, okay, let's see how they're doing. So I did the same thing because I was curious. I kind of wanted to not be blindsided when we played. And I was like, well, let's see where they're at. But just like Liverpool in the past, we might have not done great in league, but we did very well in Champions League, So it's a whole new process and a whole new format and everything's going on. So it could be anything. But I just be optimistic.
And the thing about it is, so they're 9th at the moment, but they did win yesterday. They won 4-0. Yesterday.
Yeah, 4-0 is a good win.
Yeah. They're coming off a win. We're coming off a loss.
Yeah. With Pulisic and Tammy Abraham both being on the score sheet, amongst others. So that goes well, doesn't it? Anyway, but I do think it's, I think going into a Champions League game will very much focus the mind. I don't know, and this isn't trying to disrespect Notts Forest. I do wonder if subconsciously there was a tiny bit of complacency. We've beaten we beat Man United. We come back. This not this should be a piece of cake, but we should have more than enough. And on paper, absolutely, we should have had more than enough to beat Forest. But maybe this will focus the mind because of this new format. You have to be in the top 8 to avoid the knockout bit first.
Yep.
So you don't have many chances to kind of screw up and come back. So is there anything that you think, I'm not suggesting any like radical formations or anything, but other than Chiesa, are there? I mean, I've been interested, and I'll put this to you, Randy. I've been interested in the players that he hasn't played so far. So people like Endo and Gomez, Bradley to a lesser extent. Curtis Jones, who I know came on as a substitute, but do you see any of them getting any time now that the Champions League's back, and we'll start playing League Cup games in the next week or so as well?
Yeah, I definitely think so. And I was thinking about Gomez and Jones, maybe Endo, and definitely Federica on the bench. And I think we just have to start rotating the squad a bit. And of course, we have the cup coming up as well, the other cup coming up as well. So, and maybe that's more obviously playing some of the kids, although we have supposedly sold all our kids and they're all out there. But we got some left, the 17-year-olds, for instance. So I think actually maybe not for this Milan match the biggest change, but definitely one of Gomez and or Jones on, and maybe even Morton, because we need to start rotating a bit.
I don't need a VPN. I've got nothing to hide. This is what I used to tell myself before I hooked up with LibertyShield.com. Not only is my home internet now fully encrypted, but I can now access all the websites I want, whenever I want, and do so from absolutely anywhere. As a Liverpool fan, I love to know I can now watch every match, regardless of whether it's on UK TV or not. My Liberty Shield VPN makes sure nothing is blocked and guarantees me super fast streaming speed throughout that match. You can get connected right now with their software package, which includes a 48-hour no-obligation free trial and instant access to their apps for Apple, Android, Fire TV, PC, Mac and Android TV. Or go a step further like I have and get one of their pre-configured VPN routers. These small but powerful devices allow you to easily connect every device in your home to VPN, making it the perfect solution for smart TVs, Mac boxes and games consoles. Visit LibertyShield.com today and use coupon code AIVPN25 to get 25% off at checkout.
Yeah, I wasn't sure whether he'd gone on loan. Tyler Morton, is he still in the squad then?
Yeah, he was sitting next to Elliot and Chiesa the other day, yesterday.
I think I've got confused with somebody else because Bajcetic went on loan, didn't he?
Yeah. He's gone to play Champions League in Red Bull, actually.
Yes. So yeah. Well, I hope that does. I hope that does him some good.
Yeah.
But so I do think it's going to be an interesting game, particularly away at the San Siro. So, I'm not going to ask you for any predictions. We obviously all want us to win, but after Saturday's performance, genuinely not quite sure what.
I think we need a point. Yeah. Talking about, the series that we're playing now, we definitely need a point.
Yeah, we need to get something out of that game.
Yeah,
and then we've got Bournemouth next, so back in the Premier League. So next Saturday, bizarrely, because instead of how rarely it happens, we've got 2 Saturday 3 p.m. kickoffs back to back in the Premier League. So we're home to Bournemouth, who obviously pulled off a miracle last weekend, beating with 3 goals in the last 6 minutes or whatever it was. And then
that was brilliant.
Yeah.
It was. Everton did it again as well against Villa, didn't they? Went 2-0, lost 3.
Yeah. Really?
It's their thing this season. Yeah. You kind of feel sorry for them, but you also kind of want to laugh. But now you're just like, oh my God! But we can do that too. So I don't want to laugh too hard or get too cocky.
Exactly.
You can't help but smile a little bit,
Yeah. We were one of the guys I sort of sit near in the ground. We were talking yesterday, and as the sort of game was unfolding, and he was sort of saying, we lose so rarely. This just feels really strange. He said,
yeah. I was going to ask you, but how the atmosphere in the Anfield were what?
The atmosphere was pretty good overall, but you could feel the frustration building because of the amount of misplaced passes and poor decisions. But the crowd kept kind of willing it on and singing and chanting and stuff. But it did feel, once Forest scored, they had something even bigger to hold on to than a point, and it just felt like it played into their hands. And like you say, I was talking to the one of the women who sits next to me, Vicky, and I was saying to her at one point, I said, I think you mentioned it, MK. I said, I think we've had 3 shots on target in this whole game. It was just really, really. We couldn't get out of our own way. So I think, what I want them to learn the lesson of that for when we play Bournemouth, because Bournemouth has started well. They're mid-table. They've got a good, young, innovative manager, and they're playing decent football, and they will not be a pushover. Yeah. So, and travelling back after the Champions League, coming back. So we're playing on a Tuesday, but we'll be kicking off again on a Saturday at 3:00. So, it's not a massive turnaround time. I'm assuming we will start to see a bit more squad rotation, because he's basically used pretty much the same team for the first 3 league games. So I do wonder what that Bournemouth game will be like. I will be hopefully watching that from abroad because I'll be away that week. But also, depending on where you all are and what you're doing, we'll all be probably watching it on the TV somewhere.
Yeah.
And hoping for the best. But, the Bournemouth have, they sold, I know we got a sell-on clause on it, but they sold Solanke for 60-odd million quid. And it looks like they've reinvested that money quite well, frankly. So I don't think that's going to be an easy game either. But hopefully we can be more like Man United than Forest in that game.
Yeah.
It's hard to swallow what you just said. Be more like United. No time to analyze that. Carry on.
Against United rather than the results against Forest. Let me be.
I knew what you meant. But yeah, no, they're one of those, big 6 killers. They definitely know how to play the big teams and get a result. So we can't be complacent like we seem to have been yesterday, and we can't take them for granted or underestimate them. We have to play football properly and not have all these little mistakes and really want the game, because that didn't go down well yesterday. And of course, all the keyboard warriors were out, and that was shocking. And I'm like, it's the 4th game. It's our first loss. Chill. We're still kind of forming, because it's not only, yes, okay, a lot of the players are the same. Well, actually, the players are the same. There's only a couple changes, but it's a whole new system. It's a whole new manager. It's a whole new way of playing the game. So I think they've done pretty good, and I have a lot of faith in Slot, and it's going to happen. You're not going to always win. So like Randy said, good thing we got it out of our system now. We can work on it and fix it. So yeah.
Yeah, and then we are we're home to West Ham in the league. What are you expecting from that, Randy?
Again, it's another one that is a bit difficult to analyze so early in the season, I guess. And also because now all the teams, I guess West Ham is in the Europa League. So they also have to play more matches. And so which team are going to go for all the cups and series they're in? I'm not sure we are, and I definitely don't know if they are. So are they going to go for Europa League, or are they going to go for this League Cup, And what are we thinking about that? Because I think actually we are going to play more kids in the League Cup. But I'm a bit worried because I don't think we have that many players. We have lent out or sold so many players. We got quite small
squad
pool, and squad. So, and luckily so far no big injuries except Elliot, and that's a real shame because I think he would have played both in Champions League and the Cup. So hopefully we'll find some youngsters and bring them on, because I definitely think we need them in against West Ham. And I'm not sure they are going to go for this cup either. So let's see. It's going to be exciting. And maybe that is better, actually, because there will be no complacency with the young people. So they definitely want to go for it.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point, Brandy. They'll definitely be out to impress, and I do expect that there will be quite a lot of the younger and more fringe players. I expect Quansah to play, probably, quite possibly Gomez if he doesn't play him on Tuesday. Like you say, players like Morton, Nunes has really only become on as substitute. You've got a few, Neone, who I think they really rate. So I expect to maybe see a bit of him, probably, Tsimikas and Bradley maybe, and people like Salah and Trent and Verge on the bench probably. I would expect to get in the League Cup, something like that. Maybe, like I say, maybe Endo gets a game. Who knows? Curtis Jones. But I do feel bad for Elliot, and yet again, on England duty, gets hurt in training or whatever it is. I said, they don't know how to look after nice things, so I don't think they should have them.
No.
And I would rather none of our players got picked for England, but I guess I may well be in a minority of that. But it's club over country for me, and I want them fit and available for Liverpool. Anyway, we're racing through this little agenda, let me tell you. So and obviously because we've had the international break, we didn't get to talk about Man United, so maybe we'll gloss over that for a couple of minutes when we get to any other business. But I am also very conscious that the transfer window shut on the WSL, and we're now sort of getting ready to get up and running in the Women's Super League. So what you pay a lot more attention to this, Amy Kate, than we do, I think, although we sort of keep an eye on it. How are you feeling about the women's squad for Liverpool this season?
Well, I got up this morning at 6 a.m. to watch the women play Everton at their new stadium in St. Helens. It looks really good. They have put banners all around, so it's red, so it really does feel like their stadium. When they played at Putton Park, it was blue, and you didn't see the logos. I actually had gone and watched the women play there, and I didn't feel Liverpool's presence. I felt like we were playing like a Sunday league and going to play at some random stadium. I didn't feel like it was Liverpool stadium, and I never saw them win this, so that was probably worse. So I liked the fact that it looked more professional. It had more professional feel. It looked really cool. It's a rugby pitch, but I didn't feel like there was much of a difference. And both teams really, there was no goal scored. There's a young, I think she's 19, Mia Enderby. Oh my God, what a player. They got her last year. She scored a goal, but somebody else was offside and they called it off. But they interviewed her after. She was really professional, being such a young player. I really miss seeing Missy Bo-Kearns. But you know what? Got to move on. Let her do her thing. She's doing good at Villa, and I wish her well. I just miss her there. But there's a lot of really good players and a lot of, opportunities. And I really think that they still need to build. Matt Beard said afterwards he wished he had like another week or two to really, really fine tune things, and because he doesn't feel that all the players are match fit yet. But next week they go. Another really cool thing this year, there are 3 fixtures that are going to be played at Anfield. The Merseyside derby, the derby against United and City. Not that we call them those derbies, but with them. But all 3 of those matches are going to be played at Anfield. So there's one in October, I think one in December, and one in May. And the Merseyside derby's in May. It's around May 7th. So that's really cool that they're finally giving the women more opportunities, because it makes the club more money and exposes them, and they fill out 20, 25, 30,000 people in there. So I mean, it's not like they don't have people showing up, and it's affordable. And this particular series of these 3 games, you can buy 1 ticket for all 3 of those games. So I mean, they're really trying, and they're to make a better effort for the women. So I'm happy for that. So hopefully we'll do having, the America claiming, Emma Hayes now is ours. Look, Chelsea, but Chelsea, City, and United are still, quality women's teams. They have quality teams. So it's going to be competitive, but we still did quite well, and we finished just below them. We were so they did really well last season. So hopefully we're going to continue to get better players and more money put into it, and the club supporting them more, and then we'll start hopefully really competing for trophies again,
which would be great. I think I think the last couple of seasons, it does feel like it's very much been about putting the foundations back in place. After a few sort of, I think a bit of a loss of direction, and amongst other things. So, yeah, fingers crossed for that. So one of the things that I wanted to just raise as we kind of move into any other business, and I know we've talked about it at various points, but it does look like the trial of the century, as some people are attempting to call it, is going to start this coming Monday.
Yes.
A secret location between the Premier League versus Man City being heard by this independent panel. So, and they reckon it's going to take about 10 weeks. So Randy, let me start with you. We've always been, and it will turn out whether rightly or wrongly, we've always been convinced that there has been something dodgy going on at City. I mean, to paraphrase a reporter, how relieved are you that this is finally going to be resolved one way or the other?
Oh, it's interesting that, because I mean, they're just going to throw all the best lawyers in the world, or at least the best paid lawyers in the world, at the trial and probably delay and make sure that nothing comes out that can danger them in any way. So I'm not very hopeful for anything to be resolved, to be honest, but I'm very eager for it to get started and get going and get over with, because I think this is no good for anyone. Of course, the most interesting outcome for us would be that they were, taken points off or whatever, dumped to another league below or something, but I haven't got any hopes for anything actually going out of it. I just wanted to start and get it over with.
Yeah,
Bit depressive that. I'm sorry about that.
No, it's fine. One of the things that I was reading was around this whistleblower, who's in Portugal or somewhere, and I think his code name is John or something, and who allegedly has said he's got, all of these thousands of additional emails and bits of information. Now, I don't know, how much of that is factual, and also about how much of it could be as admissible or shared, because in effect he'd be doing it a bit like a whistleblower. But this person reckons that he's got a load more stuff over and above the things that were, in that original Der Spiegel investigation and one thing and another. So yeah, it's going to be, I think, a very interesting few weeks, one way or another. I mean, I think I said at a different point, Amy Kate, that if it were proven, my view would be you'd look at what they did to Rangers in the Scottish League, in terms of, they were stripped of the titles that they won, I believe, but also they were demoted down to the bottom tier of the Scottish League system, and they had to basically work their way back up. I do agree with Randy to an extent. I'm not really expecting anything like that, but there has been a precedent set. Does that sound like it would be something that could actually even could be implemented by the by I don't know what the powers of this independent panel are.
Hey guys, it's Eddie Gibbs from Anfield Index here. I hope you're enjoying this podcast, and I'm sorry to call time on the show before it ends. In the current climate, it's tougher than ever before to offer podcasts for free. At Anfield Index, we produce over 75 free shows every month, which I'm confident is unparalleled in the LFC sphere. Whilst we'd love to offer everything for free, the production costs now make this impossible. That said, we don't want to follow the model of other channels and lock all of our content behind a paywall. So what we've decided to do is to continue offering every show for free, but cut that offering to 30 minutes on our longer shows. So to get all of our shows in full and enjoy the best of everything we have to offer, we really hope you'll consider supporting the channel and signing up at AnfieldIndexPro.com. For about the price of 1 cup of coffee, you'll get every podcast in full with 0 ads. You'll also get access to our LFC VIP community, where you can enjoy live podcasts, engage with our podcasters, and chat with other Reds in real time. So that website again, AnfieldIndexPro.com. Join today.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.